we're talking about that grip. This is the most important thing.
Yeah.
This is what differentiates between the weapons fighter's grip and a boxer's fist. Hey guys, it's Greg and Aaron back again today. We're doing another session, but Aaron's had a couple questions. I think it's pertinent to everybody as a learning, and I think this is really a great thing, even though Aaron's had years of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stuff, the knife thing is still relatively new, and there's a lot of really good questions that people ask. Today we're going to step off, and we've got 2 or 3 questions. Let's start with the first one you were talking about.
The question I have is actually how to grip the knife properly.
When I'm in here, this position is exactly where you want to get, because in reality, every weapon that you use in the style of fighting we do basically has this bottom dagger. If you look at swords, I still need, this is terrible, we broke the tip off the training sword. We're here, you look at that same position. See how we backstop that on the blade? This is a very secure position. It's a safety position zone. And if I can do that, if Aaron grabs my hand in any way, I can go over and take the choke. If you hold on, or if I trap this hand here, he's going down and we're gaining it now into the grappling positions. With this here, if I just go with a regular swing, you can see how that, we call breaking the wrist. Breaking the wrist is where the wrist follows through, the weapon follows through. This happens with a lot of guys that are training that do this, and they get smacked on top of the weapon, and the weapon's gone. The other thing that they do is when we're maybe casting, when we're doing this type of strike, if you do that and you're doing it with some momentum, again, your thumbs are very weak, all right? It can come right out of your thumb, especially with a slight strike. That's why we use this. It also later on makes me able to witik against myself, which is to bounce off something, okay? Witik is just a bounce. If I can go here, I can now fake, and I can carry a heavy weapon by doing this. Later on, just going further into it, when you're going for your umbrella blocks, and your umbrella blocks, if you see somebody that lifts their umbrella block and the weapon's out here, they're doing it incorrectly. If they're lifting it out here, they're doing it incorrectly. It's gotta stay in that center line. Same idea, it goes around, comes back through. All of this mob movement that we did, and I recommend you guys go back to the nunchuck videos and start practicing, because that same thing, this is how a weapon should be, not like this. I'll walk in all over you if you give me all this time. I'm going straight through you. And I'm open to the challenges, anyone wants to come in and try it. All right, we're working this. This is important, all right? Let's look at a couple things with this. Trapping. Somebody, I'm in here, he's slicing, we've got our locks, we're coming in, and I come back and he happens to catch my hand. I may not have time. So there's a couple positions here. See right here, I've got this. Couple ways. There's that crossing of the wrist. Here it goes, lift, boom. Okay? He's in. I don't need anything big. I can even trap the thumb. I can lock him to it. Can you see that? This coming back, traps, over, and I've got this. If I go here, I trap. Not only have I broken his wrist, but I've sliced the wrist all in one motion. Boom.
Yep, cut mine.
Now I clear, and I can go back. If he grabs again, let's look at these grips. This here, just so you guys know, when you get this grab, we're gonna work. You can bring it across, under, there's the thumb trap. I've got him locked, at least for a moment, he's not getting away with that thumb. At least until I slice other way.
Beautiful. From
From this hammer grip. He grabs me here. Notice, no more thumb. That's lesson 1 right there. Stop leaving your thumb out. Use the monkey grip. Lesson 2 is right here. Keep those elbows down. There it is. Elbow down, elbow in. I don't go through. Elbow straight. I just dip and I'm in. Big thing. Other variation is I'm here. He grabs. I can simply bring this elbow. Now, he can hold in any which way. I told you we were talking mechanics. I'm not trying to stop me here. I'm not trying to go this way around. I'm not trying to lift and push around. I'm pointing. This is going to come back to this shoulder, all right? This, just back my thumb to my shoulder. Again, we're always going to the 4 gates, right? I've got the front gate here, and I just point. I don't have to lift and go. I just point at him. boom.
Amazing.
There it is. It looks here, he grabs here, I pull back, and it's too late. See that?
Yeah.
If I come in, you catch that,
Catch it.
boom, I just need to go here, and I've got him all the way through.
Great food.
Little things. Let's still talk about this. Say he catches it in the other way. He's catching it, say I was cut across, and he got me in a way that he's got this pull grip. Very common, where he might be trying to get under me, and I drop that, see that elbow? For you guys in the jiu-jitsu, he tries to scoot under, tuck the elbow in, look at what that blade just did to that. Because this is the problem with shooting, guys, against the blade. Don't shoot against the blade, unless you're really confident. He's got this grip, what we call pull grip. Same idea. I can hook it into my wrist, and just roll my wrist, cut the hands. Or I can now come under, and then from here, roll it back to my wrist. Watch this. That's just rolling it back into that position. If I'm grabbing here, he goes over, I bring the blade here, and now just roll it back to your, bring it back to your wrist, that way. See, this is strength. See how his wrist is? Turn it in this way. This is a good lesson right here. He's trying to squeeze it down. Not gonna do anything. Not gonna do anything. You're here, roll it around to touch your wrist with the blade. Come right in. There we go. So the baby finger, that middle finger, we're talking about that grip. This is the most important thing. This is what differentiates between the weapons fighter's grip and a boxer's fist, okay? We're gonna talk about that because that was his second question as well. When we're here and he grabs my wrist, I'm over, all right? We're coming over this way, and I'm gonna bring my wrist, my baby finger back to touch my wrist. See this? I'm going back to touch. And if I hold this, he has nowhere to go. He brings his knife. I can keep bringing him in closer. Using the joints, understanding that type of stuff. And if you're doing it, it shouldn't feel like you have to use strength. He's doing a muscular thing, and he's turning it under. This is a little tricky. Again, grab in here. I grab over, grab on the wrist. We're into this type of grip. I come over, and if I'm doing this, I'm doing a Fuchs style. I'm rolling around. I can keep my elbow in, which makes it tighter. Do this if he's got bad wrist, but here is where you want to be. And I'm just gonna go in as though I'm doing right here. This is gonna come over and not go this, like this way, but it comes over and rolls the blade back towards me. See? The blade ends up touching the back side of the blade, ends up in that position. You're going? As I'm here, it goes over, blade facing all the way to the back of the blade, and I want to bring that blade to touch the back of the blade. Not this way, but this way. See, it's a little different. You're going over and rolling back in. It should cross your wrist right here. So once again, go ahead. He goes over. Now, there it is.
There it is, right?
And I'm going to tell you, when you do this, what's the difference? That's it. Do you see? It's that flex, that little flex, but it's not this way, and it's not flat across. It's a spiral dynamic movement. And that's what Jing Shen is made out of. We'll explain spiral dynamics. Basically, a quick lesson on that is you see your karate styles, which are very linear. You see your jiu-jitsu styles, which are very circular, like we're moving in a lot of circular motion. Same with boxing, its footwork moves circular around rather than karate, which is or Wing Chun, that's very straight down the line. You've got the triangle and a circle, right? The triangle being the equilateral triangle being the strongest linear structure. It locks down. That's why we have all triangles in jiu-jitsu and any locking system. They use the triangular motion. You have a circular motion that when in motion can become very powerful. And the smaller the circle, and that's what you're doing in jiu-jitsu and stuff, is you're really trying to take their center or judo, and the smaller the circle, the greater the torque. And that's why we say, take the space out of grappling. And in karate, they want the space because they want the line. What we're doing is if you think of a triangle here and a circle around it, basically if you took your towel or a ribbon and you kept twisting it over, and I'm going here, you're gonna have that ribbon incorporate the circle along those triangle points. So it's gonna go here, and you're gonna get a spiral motion. When he grabs, whenever we're in, just look in here, whenever I travel in JSK specifically, I'm traveling, I'm going for one joint, I go up to the second joint, I don't jump to the third joint, go up to the second joint, If he comes out and he works his way out, I can either roll back down to the joint, or I can go from here, roll through, go up into the shoulder, tuck under. This gives me a back out through the shoulder, down into the arm, back out the wrist. And we've just learned to spiral. I'm not doing this correctly, but we'll do transitions with this for you guys. And that will be in our flow drill course that we're doing as well, that's coming up with Aaron and I in the future. But we're working right now on this. The second thing he was asking was, you're asking about here.
Second question I had was how to grip your knife. Not just the finger, but if you're striking and punching towards a bag or punching towards something,
Right.
what to actually do with your offhand. I have a martial arts background, Kempo karate, then I took jiu-jitsu as well for a few years. But I like to stand like a traditional fighter and a boxer and a karate guy. I stand with my left hand usually forward and my right hand back because that's my lead foot. I was asking Greg, what do you do with your offhand? Would you stick it out there and do a 1-2 like a boxer? Are you trying to fight? Also, what is the correct positioning with your hand? I've broken my 4th and 5th metacarpal a few times by punching incorrectly or just being a boxing fracture basically. I was asking Greg exactly what is the proper way to grip your knife, to grip something to actually strike it with your hand.
Those are two awesome questions that a lot of people I'm sure have at the same time. This is the thing. First of all, you should be initially starting off with, I know most of us box natural stance. If you're right-handed, you got your left foot forward. A lot of the guys that switch in or had the Bruce Lee era fight with their lead hand forward. That's usually a system that's used for a lot of kickers because that right leg becomes really effective at keeping people off and on. This is great. Power for boxers is rear back. If I'm starting off at front and he's coming in or somebody's coming in here, I should be lead foot forward. My right foot, my right hand are forward so that I can defang the weapon, which means basically I shouldn't ever move in until I've done some sort of damage to that. Now, when I move in, which in a lot of the boxing worlds and stuff like this, is don't switch stance and stuff. More and more guys that are advanced fighters can do it. If I'm here and I'm doing this and he steps forward, I can pivot off. Now I'm into my boxing stance. If I've trained in here, this is where it goes. What do? Do I go and go for it? Yes, if I can. But if we're now into a boxing sort of thing here, what's he typically going to be watching? You're going to be watching as we're training for this to come in. This is a great opportunity, okay? This is all you need to know. This is the equalizer. If I'm going to teach one self-defense position, one self-defense move, this is all you need to know. This position. See how my thumb is cocked? It's pulled back, fingers like cupped. All I'm doing on this is I'm going in, I'm going for the eye, and my old instructor always said, go for the eye, take a souvenir. I'm going in, I can not only hit the eye, I can palm smash his ear, which will blow the eardrum. I got that cupping strike. When I do this, I then want action. A lot of strikes just go here. We talked about the cutting strike, where it goes here and it changes an angle. Adds a lot more to your strike. The same thing here, I can hit and drive the head back, open up for whatever I'm doing, or I can hit and grab the back of the ear, pull that back in, cut, hit, grab the hair, hit, grab the shirt, anything you can get a hold of, just pulls them into the cut. And this position, if I'm in here, and I do, again, all the guys, so Sanford and Son style, like why I oughta, I go here, you're focusing on this, and I just stick that jab. The jab, and you guys do it, the jab with this thumb will finish most fights before any. I know that you guys are proud and you want to get in and show that you're tough and I'm an MMA or I'm a world-class boxer. I've worked with all these guys, right? The difference is if I have a knife or I have a couple other buddies that carry knives, we live in San Diego. We live in maybe the most, not only do we have the most extreme highest ranking military, we also are the mecca of MMA. We have the best fighters anywhere in the world here. Anyways, we have really good fighters here. You don't know what's going on. We'll get into the mental states and understanding that by your situational awareness. Why is he coming at me? Is he jealous? Is he on drugs? Is he upset? Is he racial? Is there what? We don't know. All of those have different elements you have to worry about when you're fighting. Guess how you stop that? Dot the I. Dot the I, I don't care what drug you're on. Your eyes water, you're doing this. If I'm in here, it's too late for you. Either one of these, dot the I, dot the I. Now let's talk about this position. The great thing about this is using this and practicing with this in your hand is the great equalizer, because now this fist here is solid. When I punch, people think they punch like this. Okay, this is not a straight fist. The wrist has to drop in alignment or slightly below the knuckle. See this knuckle here? These two should be basically aligned. I should be able to draw a plate right across there. When I'm doing this, and I'm going boom right here, the knuckle's slightly down. When I do that, it's a really strong position. If I'm going here, I'm punching with the blade, or I'm coming through, or later we're coming through with the long range. It's called fish hooks. You don't want to get caught by because those will fillet you. Now, this is where I've discussed before, and people may not have understood. If you basically put anything in your hand here, you can hit really hard without hurting your knuckles. The reason for that is because when I go like this, and people in boxing do this, right? We make this the angry fist. If I have him coming in here, and you make that angry fist in the mirror, he's got this, if he's doing this. Now, if he's a great fighter, he's gonna try to land those two knuckles together. But typically, somebody throws a fist with what they feel like their wrist is straight. Look what's gonna hit first. If this hits first, and I turn his hand for you to see, if this hit, he's saying here, what's gonna happen? Look at that, sorry. You feel that, he hit here. If he's just throwing on a bit of an angle, a lot of times these are the first two knuckles that hit. If I hit here and those compress, you can already see that knuckle. It's impacted and broken. And once that's done, he's not going into boxing as a career now. You break those a couple times, it's over. It's over, all right? Here, I'll just stay on these. First thing that happens is you see that compression right here. They roll in. As soon as they roll in, if I put a lot more weight in my body, what's the next thing that happens?
The wrist.
The wrist rolls in. And all of you guys have done that where you hit something, you're, oh. This fist is not a street fighter's fist. I'll show you guys in the street boxing thing that you do not want to hit on the street. I have a serious thing because I missed a guy and hit a brick wall behind and completely split my hand open. If I had known how to throw a better fist, my alignment would not have been between those two knuckles or on these three knuckles. There is only one knuckle to strike with, guys. And the way to do it is, I don't care how you do it, just like I'm doing here. This principle right here. Hold your weapon this way, not a fist, not a saber. They're useful in some ways, but here, this is the only, I don't care how you close, as long as that. I like to lock this for safety. For you guys that, like when I was working with Dave Weck, we designed like a Weck fist type idea, which he would cross this over and then cross his fin. He was using that for sprinters to create a nice kinetic chain. And he came to me talking about that. And the reason why I also like, when I go like this, and you make a fist, tighten this. Watch this. Now move your wrist back and forth a lot. Do circles. When you do this type of fist, and especially squeeze it really tight, he's using both sides of the muscle. Antagonistic muscles are working together. The front and the back are working together. If I just focus on this, the only muscle I'm working on is this finger here, closing down, which allows this to be really flexible and quick. This locks off. Why do we use hand wraps in boxing? Because the fist isn't strong enough to protect it. And a lot of boxers will tell you if they hit on the street, they'll break their hand. Let me quickly go from this. If you just transfer to this and just close your hands flat and cross, now you have this flat, as though I had like really long fingernails or my women's self-defense, right? I just close it, I don't care how, probably don't. This is Buddha's thumbs. This is good if I'm going into places or into eyes. This is good to close it. Not this, it's weird. But if you do it, and now what happens is this knuckle is now, the only knuckle is that middle knuckle. That's the only thing that you do. Now when we did the Weck fist, what we would do is I went in here and we crossed it, which now really protrudes that middle knuckle. You can see it stick out. And you're only trying to land with this. The only problem with this is unless you're doing this all the time, which is a weird thing, you can see Dave Weck's thing, it closes off very strong. But in reality and time, you just need to practice this. Close that, hit, and you're gonna be able to hit really solid stuff on any angle. And now I can apply my techniques like you see in Sistema, where as soon as I hit, I can turn the angle and still not roll the wrist. So if I get in here and I'm coming in, it's the same thing that we did with the sword cut in a couple of videos ago. When I come in, I can hit here and deliver, right? But when I go here, I add that little bit of an angle. I can angle it for wherever I want to go. If I'm hitting here and I want to drive the energy down, it's called a floating punch. I deliver here, but on that same second, I close. Now, this movement here in Bruce Lee's 1 and 3 inch punch, that closing, you want to practice it. You can close it, loose, but the middle one is hitting to the center. Boom, you see that flat finger right there. As I'm doing it, we're sitting right here. When you're doing this punch, if you can practice adding this punch and then changing the angle, you really upset the direction that the person that thinks this is coming in, he's absorbing for this direction. But when he goes to absorb a straight line punch and the angle goes down, and that's nothing, but you feel the depth, right?
Absolutely.
So guys, we're running out of time today. We're gonna come back soon. We'll have the next video for you. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks a lot. If I'm going here, I'm punching with the blade, or I'm coming through, or later we're coming through with the long range. It's called fish hooks. You don't want to get caught by because those will fillet you.